Thanks once again for dropping by the channel. If you like the content, if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, if you felt it was useful. Now let's get into this. So, we are now days away, 2 days now away from Dillian Whyte versus Alexander Povetkin. Going to give my preview, prediction. Haven't done a prediction video on a fight in a while. That's one thing I've missed during, this whole, what that's been going on, is the fact that even though we've had boxing on, the fights haven't been competitive enough to warrant a prediction video for certain fights anyway. This fight I've been looking forward to. This fight I'm going to talk about. Let's get into this. So, I think the original date for this fight was the start of May. I think it was like May the 2nd was the original date they had in store for this fight. And truth be told, going back to when they were talking about this fight originally, they were saying it could be Andy Ruiz, it could be Povetkin. Both names were kind of because with Ruiz, it was like coming off back of a loss, is he going to be up for it? With Povetkin, it's like, right, with Povetkin, he's going to be game, but this is a past the Povetkin. This is an older Povetkin. This is not a Povetkin who fought Klitschko, even though he lost that fight. That was more of a prime Povetkin as opposed to what we have now. We've got a 41-year-old Povetkin. So when that fight was originally announced, I just kind of thought, okay, Dillian Whyte will probably win that fight, probably win it comfortably. At the end of the day, Povetkin, he battled to a draw, although I felt he lost. He battled to a draw against Michael Hunter, and, he looked shaky in there. He looked shaky against Hughie Fury, truth be told. So, hearing all that and thinking of that, I just thought to myself, this fight be Dillian Whyte win. Maybe a little bit tough, but it'd be Dillian Whyte win. Obviously, the fight got pushed back a couple of times then, and we have this date now. During those times, the intermittent period where the fight was getting rescheduled, a load of things were happening. The fight was eventually announced for August. I think it was announced the end of June or the middle of June. And not long after that, you had Dillian Whyte constantly speaking about, this time next year, what I'll be doing. I want my title shot. I want this. I'm going to court with the WBC. I just want my title shot. Talking about Tyson Fury. Talking about Anthony Joshua, coming between that undisputed fight, this, that, and the other. All the while, you're looking at this and you're thinking, hang on a minute, right? You haven't beaten Povetkin yet. He's there in Russia just doing what he always does. He's like a Russian mercenary. He just goes into camp, he does his training, he turns up to take your head off, he gets paid, he goes home. That's Povetkin. Whereas Dillian Whyte, training over there in Portugal, people could say he's in good shape, and he does look in quite decent shape. He's had, legal things with WBC, trying to get lawyers involved in that, and I think that was obviously resolved. He's been mentioning Tyson Fury a lot. He spent more time mentioning Tyson Fury and what he's going to do with Tyson Fury and how Tyson Fury better not run, despite the fact he's got a fight coming up. So when I hear all these things, I see these things, this to me just stinks of an upset. Especially when you're talking past a game opponent. This isn't like we've Dillian Whyte in there against a no-hope or someone who's just coming to collect a paycheck or something like that, and we kind of know the result. This isn't like that. Povetkin still feels as though he has something to give as a heavyweight. Povetkin feels as though the fire is still there. He's going to be 41 years old, but he still feels like he has enough to give. The fact that he's 41 years old and he's still a top contender is credit to Povetkin. So, to me, this has upset written all over it. Now, when I look at the styles, Povetkin is a very good counterpuncher on the front foot. His feet are not the fastest feet in the world, but they're definitely not slow. He doesn't have the quickest hands in the world. His hands are quick. Povetkin has quick hands. He does. But they're not like an Andy Ruiz style quick, where Ruiz can just get those blistering combinations off. No, Povetkin will be a little bit slower than that, but the punches he throws are more correct. He throws them very well. He's very good at delivering his shots. He's very accurate as well, like ask Anthony Joshua. When he gets those openings, he lands those shots. He finds gaps that almost look like they're not there, and he can be quick. As I said, he's quick hands. Some of the shots he lands, they're so clean and crisp, and he lands them like that. Like, I always look at the right hand, not the left hook. The right hand he landed against David Price before he knocked him out with the left hook. It was just lovely. It was an overhand right, nice and quick, with the knuckle part of the glove, because Povetkin can punch very well, straight on the top of the head, and that was what took David Price really out. I mean, that knocked him out on his feet, and the left hook finished it. So Povetkin is very good at that. Dillian Whyte, a lot of people have been saying that he needs to box Povetkin. He needs to keep it at long range, keep it at distance, and just not engage. Now, that's not really Dillian Whyte's style. Dillian Whyte he can engage a bit. He's okay boxing skills. Like when he does move, he can be useful on the back foot. His jab is underrated. I think people don't give Dillian Whyte enough credit for his jab. I think even when I look at him against AJ, the jab was causing AJ problems in that fight all those years ago. I think Dillian Whyte, he's got an underrated jab, but I think if he uses it against Povetkin, he will have some success. But if I was in Dillian Whyte's team, I'd be saying, okay, you're going to want to jab this guy, but opposed to jabbing from to the head, jab to the body. Kind of take a few blueprints of what Anthony Joshua did. Because Anthony Joshua, the first few rounds, Povetkin is a very quick starter. Povetkin can start quick. He fades down the stretch, but you'll notice if he's still there come rounds, we'll say 9, 10, 11, 12, that's when he kind of comes back to life again. He'll be good for the first 3-4 rounds. He'll have a lull for another part of the fight, and then he kind of gets a second win. That's been routinely what you see with Povetkin. So what do you want to do? If you know Povetkin's going to come out quick, you're going to want to move on the back foot. You're just going to want to, keep the jab going because you've got the longer arms in here. You're the taller guy. Keep him at long range. Try and avoid letting him get them counters off. But jab to the body. If you jab to the body, Povetkin is going to go through a lull in that fight anyway. Alright, that's pretty much a guarantee with Povetkin that he does tend to fade a little bit in the mid rounds. If you start hitting him to the body, there's a chance you might get him to fade quicker. And if you start hurting him to the body, then there's a chance you might even be able to get him out of there. Get him out of there with headshots. Maybe you get him out there with some good body shots, if he's sufficiently weakened enough. I mean, this is a 41-year-old man at the end of the day, and we need to see what weight he comes in at. So I'd be saying to Dillian Whyte, jab, but primarily jab to the body. Don't necessarily constantly keep it at a distance. You don't want to constantly be on the distance on the move, because I don't know if Dillian Whyte can fight. I don't think he can fight a full fight on the move for 12 rounds. I don't think he can. I think Dillian Whyte will want to go in there and he'll want to catch Povetkin with shots. He'll want to engage with Povetkin. He'll want to trade with Povetkin. Now, some people would say if you do that, you're playing to Povetkin's hands. Yes and no, I can see that, but I think with Dillian Whyte, Dillian Whyte is quite good at making it uncomfortable for guys on the inside. Even if they're good at counterpunching, he can make it uncomfortable for them. He can actually almost smother them. I think Dillian Whyte's been someone who's done that. I think he did that very well with Parker. He made it very uncomfortable for Joseph Parker. Povetkin would have a lot more spite in him than a Parker. But I think Dillian Whyte will be able to get in and rough Povetkin up and not let him get the counters off. Okay, that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, it might be. Now, the things that have been worrying me, Dillian Whyte, in some of the training footage we've seen with Xavier Miller, he's been side on a little bit in those pictures, in those little snippets of training. He did employ little bits of that against, what was the guy's name? Marius Whyte. I can't think of his name there. He did employ little bits of that against Marius Whyte. Against Marius Whyte, you can get away with that, and at the end of the day, he wasn't in the greatest of shape, nor was Marius Whyte, truth be told, but still, you can kind of get away with that. Against Povetkin, someone who's a noted left hooker, he leaps in with that left hook a lot. I wouldn't be advising Dillian Whyte to do that. Now, they have brought Dave Colwell in for this fight as well. I think Dave Colwell is he's going to be there as almost a bit of support for Xavier Miller. I think Dave Colwell will be kind of giving his 2 cents during the rounds of what he probably thinks is going on. I'm sure Xavier Miller will be giving his 2 cents as well. They're probably going to try and, come halfway. I would imagine something like that. Something similar to what Fury did with bringing Freddie Roach in as the cut man. Freddie Roach is a cut man. I thought that was funny. The guy's got Parkinson's disease. Freddie Roach was obviously brought in there just to kind of ease Ben Davison along. That was his first real step-up fight at all. So I imagine it's something similar to this. I see this fight going 12 rounds, and I see both guys getting hurt. Povetkin, I think, would have the better chin. People have said he'd been buzzed a few times. He was buzzed by Hunter. He was obviously knocked out by AJ. He was down against Klitschko. Realistically, he was only down once against Klitschko. The other knockdowns were BS, but he was hurt several times against Klitschko. But Povetkin's always showed a decent chin. But I think that Dillian Whyte does hit hard enough. I think Dillian Whyte's the harder puncher of the two. Just in terms of sheer weight of the shot, sheer brute force. I think Dillian Whyte's the harder puncher. But I think Povetkin has the better chin. I think Dillian Whyte's been hurt a few times these last few fights. He was even hurt against Marius Whyte briefly. So I would imagine both these guys are going to get hurt in this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if both guys get hurt early, both guys get hurt late, but I think both guys are going to get hurt in this fight. When it's all said and done, and we reach the end of this fight, I think this is going to be a decision win. and I'm going to be picking Dillian Whyte to win this fight on a very close points decision. And I think he's going to have a very, very hard time. He's going to need to be boxing. He's going to be needing to make life difficult in there for Povetkin. He's going to need to be going to Alexander Povetkin's body. He is going to want to bang that drum. He is going to want to be jabbing to the body. The jab is going to be important for Dillian Whyte, but I think it's going to be more important if he jabs to Povetkin's body. A bit like what AJ did. Get the body jabs in there, take the legs away, and maybe if you're going to be able to stop Povetkin, you're going to want to stop him in the mid rounds. If you can get your jab going, you can tire him out with body shots, maybe you can get him to overextend and catch him with a left hook. Maybe. But saying that, you need to worry about what Povetkin's coming back with you at, because Povetkin isn't feather fisted. Povetkin has a very, very good left hook. Povetkin has a very good right hand, and he's a sneaky uppercut as well. Ask Anthony Joshua. So Dillian Whyte's going to need to be careful. He's going to need to be defensively switched on, and he's going to want to make sure his stamina is good late on the fight, because we've seen Povetkin come on strong late in fights, but we've also seen Dillian Whyte fade late in fights. So he's going to want to make sure that the stamina is all there, and I think that he'll get a 12-round unanimous points decision. But I think it'll be close. I'm not going to say this is going to be a one-sided decision for Dillian Whyte. No. I think we're looking at a close decision, but I think that if this was Povetkin maybe 2 years ago, I might pick Povetkin. But we have a 41-year-old Povetkin, and I think the age is going to catch up with him in this fight. So I'm going with Dillian Whyte on points. That's my thoughts on this fight. That's my prediction. Let me know yours down below in the comment section. I'd be interested to know what people are seeing or what people are doing. I want to know if people are betting on this fight, if anyone's backing Povetkin to win. I've seen some good odds, some very good odds on Povetkin to win. So let me know your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, of course, if you are new. And as always, people, I will talk to you